Hi, I'm JeanneDominguez, your San Diego Realtor. I am here today with Jeff Willson of the Willson team, and we are talking mortgages. It's such an exciting topic. So Jeff, tell me about yourself and how you got into the world of mortgage lending.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you're welcome.
I got in the industry about 15 years ago when I was discharging from the United States Navy. The United States Navy had me for 8 years, and I was transitioning out of the Navy and into school. I had been accepted to my school of choice, and I needed a job while I was going to school, and I was going to do a few different things. And the opportunity, my cousin worked at a mortgage company. She said, hey, why don't you come check out what we're doing here? So I did. I went, I interviewed, I took the job, and here I am 15 years later. I'm still doing loans. So
Okay.
I really love what I do.
Awesome. And I understand that there's another family member in the Willson team.
Yeah.
Tell me about him
Yeah,
and
my-
what he did before.
Yeah, my brother Matt, he was in the United States Navy for 3 years also. He got out right when I was getting in the late 90s. So we didn't serve together, but he is now on the team.
So we're in San Diego, we're in my backyard, and we have this huge military community here. Who better to assist a veteran than a fellow veteran, right?
Yeah.
Okay, who can obtain a VA mortgage?
So a current active duty military member can obtain a mortgage.
Okay.
A discharged veteran with a good discharge, you know, somebody who wasn't.
An honorable discharge.
Yeah, honorable discharge.
Okay.
So no dishonorable and other than honorables are allowed to use the VA loan. And then also surviving spouses can use a VA loan. So if a veteran's passed away, then their spouse is able to use that benefit for life as well.
Oh, that's good to know. What kind of properties can a veteran purchase using his VA benefits?
Just about anything.
1 to 4 units?
Yeah, just about anything from 1 to 4, as long as it's residential. Anything more than 4 units becomes mostly commercial. So a single family home to a 4-bedroom or 4-unit townhome, quadplex, whatever they're called. Yeah, I mean, mobile homes, land, you know, VA loans got a wide range of what they allow.
So we talked about what kind of properties a veteran can purchase with his VA loan benefit. Is there any loan limit? Like, what's the max a VA buyer can borrow?
The max is specific to the county that they live in or want to buy in.
Okay.
So every county and every state across the country has their own limit that the VA will lend on with a full benefit. So the full benefit means that you don't have to bring in a down payment, that they'll insure the loan up to 75% of the value of the home. So that's what the VA loan does for you. But if you want to buy above that limit, you're still able to use the VA loan. You just have to bring in a down payment. How much above that VA limit is what is the deciding factor on how much money you have to bring in. But it could be anywhere between 5 to 10%, sometimes 20% down of the difference. So let's say in your county, for round numbers, let's say in your county the VA loan limit is $400,000, and you want to buy a $500,000 home, then you would have to bring in 25%. I believe it's 25% of the $100,000.
The difference.
The difference.
So looking at the big picture, how relevant is the VA buyer's credit score?
The credit score is important. It is important, but it's not as sensitive on the VA loan as it is on a conventional mortgage. It's designed to be that way. The VA loan isn't supposed to scrutinize the client because of credit history. They just need to make sure that they have a clean credit history. So the VA, they never set a bottom for their for their FICO requirements. It's up to the lender who's lending the money to make that decision. So from lender to lender, you'll find that they may have a minimum credit score requirement that's this, or across the street you may see another lender who's got a minimum requirement of this. But I think that it's best not to get hung up on that, because as long as if you're putting yourself in a position where you can buy a house, you're most likely have the credit score that's necessary in order to get a VA loan.
Okay, well that's good. So with the VA buyer, you're still going to look at the debt to income ratio, make sure they can afford their payments, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What about housing allowance? Can that factor into what you can afford?
Absolutely.
I mean, we're in San Diego, it's very expensive here.
Yeah.
The housing allowance, what do you need from the veteran to show their housing allowance?
It's going to be on their LES. So the great thing about the LES now is that when I was in it, it only came out once a month, and things sometimes you gave a 30-day cycle before we could see what we need. Now LES has come out every 2 weeks. So LES will show a BAH, BAS, it'll show the base pay, It'll show their rank. It'll show a lot of information that we need in order to help them qualify for the mortgage. The ability to repay a mortgage is more important now than ever since the last, the Great Recession. So they have to make sure that they're able to qualify for the mortgage under a certain, what's called debt to income ratio, which on VA loans is very liberal compared to a conventional mortgage. But if the mortgage payment is $2,500 a month, they better make more than $2,500. They have to make usually twice as much as that in order to qualify.
Well, that's good. What kind of closing costs can a VA buyer expect?
Closing costs on a VA loan is no different than any other loan. Now, I don't charge a lender fee for my VA loans. Some lenders do. So there may be some processing underwriting fees that a specific lender would require. So local credit unions do require that. We don't. As a veteran, I try my best not to charge for that. But no matter what the lender fee is, they'll still have to pay for an appraisal, property inspections, title and escrow costs. So it's zero down payment, but there are still some out-of-pocket costs that they're going to have to consider, or at least try to negotiate with the seller to try to cover those fees.
Right, and a good realtor could try and negotiate closing cost credit for you, so you could bring very little money to closing to cover your closing costs. There's also a VA funding fee, correct?
There is a VA funding fee. Most people have to pay that. If you're on active duty, you absolutely have to pay that VA funding fee, and it varies. It varies on quite a few things. So I think it's best not to get into what that dollar amount is, but it varies based on whether you're a veteran, active duty. If you're a disabled veteran, you can get that cost waived. So if you're trying to buy a new home or you're trying to refinance and you have a VA service connected disability, then we can actually waive that VA funding fee for you.
And can't most veterans roll that funding fee into their mortgage?
It's always rolled in.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
good.
that VA funding fee is always rolled into the mortgage. You never have to pay it out of pocket.
Oh, that's awesome. So what kind of documents are required for a veteran to show you to prove that they really are a veteran?
It depends on how they earn their income. So an active duty service member is going to be pretty easy. They're going to require W-2s, LESs for 30 days, W-2s for 2 years, and then we'll have to look at, we get driver's license, bank statements, things like that. Very straightforward because we know how they're earning their income. Now, a veteran who is no longer active duty, we're going to have to, that's case by case. So if they're a regular W-2 employee for a regular company, then that's going to be the same thing. Pay stubs, bank statements, W-2s. They're self-employed, will need tax returns.
And what about their DD-214?
Always need the DD-214.
Okay.
Yeah, always need a DD-214.
Okay. This is a big question for me. What is the benefit to my buyer for using the Willson team versus one of these big military type credit unions that are all over the place? They're nationwide, but they're not in San Diego. What's the benefit to using a local lender versus your credit union?
I'm trying to evolve with that answer on a daily basis. That's what I do. And I think it's ongoing, but what we can do today to service a client that we're very proud of is to give them a national branded company that's behind us, but with a mom and pop feel local. So you get all of the bells and whistles that come with a national company, because I'm always going to be a part of a national company, a big time company, but I'm local and I have a local experience and I have local connections, and we do most of our business right here in the area that I work in. So we're very close to being experts in our industry here in the local environment.
One other thing that I've seen as the difference is working with a local lender like yourself versus a big credit union. The credit unions want 45 to 60 days to close on a purchase, and in San Diego that just doesn't fly. People want to close in 21 days, 30 days. Being
local gives us the ability to have a local operations team in the facility. So a credit union or a big bank or most mortgage banks don't have processing, underwriting, and funding in their immediate vicinity. We do. Actually, my processing and underwriting staff are in the same building I work in every day. So when a client comes to me and says, hey, I found a house, I need to close in 21 days, we're pre-approved, can we get it done? That's easy. I walk up the stairs and I talk to the underwriter, I walk up the stairs and I talk to the processor, or my brother Matt does, and we get it done quickly, rather than having processing in Texas, underwriting in New York. It doesn't like that with us. Everything is right here. We're a national company with a very localized team.
That's great. That's good to know. That's good to know, because as a realtor, when we're up against multiple offers, buyers and the sellers don't want to wait 60 days for the credit unions to close the loan. So, can a veteran use his VA loan benefit to purchase an investment property? And what I mean by that is, can he buy a 4-unit, live in one as his primary residence, and then rent out the other 3?
Yeah, the VA loan isn't any different than your typical conventional mortgage, or even FHA allows this, is where as long as you are using that building as your primary residence, you can use the VA loan to buy it as a primary residence on a primary residence application. So the answer is yes, you can buy the property, live in 1 unit, and rent out the other 3. And sometimes we can use that to help you qualify for it as well.
Okay, that's good to know. Using that rental income can help you qualify for this bigger purchase price.
Yes.
That's really good to know. Call Jeff, he knows the answers to those questions. What are things that a veteran can do ahead of time to make the loan process run more smoothly? I love working with military buyers because I say, I need this from you, and it's yes ma'am, and they're just wonderful. What can a veteran do to make things run even more smoothly than they already do?
Well, I think the most important part of the process in all loan applications across the board for anybody is to get pre-approved. That first conversation to explore not just what you qualify for, it's very important for us to discover what your budget is and how to fit the home into your budget. I think it's the most important part of the process, so that we're not trying to back the budget into the home that you found. It may not always be the best thing for you long term. So the first couple conversations should be about, what do you want to pay every month? Then what do you qualify for? And then let's get you into that. Let's get you into that budget. Let's get you qualified for it as well. So that to me is the most important thing on all spectrums, especially for veterans, because a lot of times it's their first home, and we want to help them make sure they make good decisions right away.
That's great advice. So Jeff, how can people apply for a loan with you? Should they call you? Should they go online? What's the best way to reach you?
Absolutely. You can reach me on my cell phone, actually. My direct number is 760-271-0045. You can call me or text me at that number, or you can go to my website and get the rest of my contact information at www.wilsonteam.com. That's Wilson with 2 L's.
Thank you so much. Our helicopter is back. And Jeff, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I really
appreciate
appreciate it.
Answering all these questions. Yeah.